Hello traders, welcome to the Monday forecast. So first I want to thank you all for 1000 subscribers. I'm really happy about that. So we have smashed the goal. Let's now try to hit 10k. And also I'm changing up the schedule of the forecasts and trade recaps. I need to free up some time for other videos and other content. So we will be doing forecasts and trade recaps every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And if the market is really active and if I have time, I will do Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if it's just range bound, if it's kind of slow and if I'm really busy, I'll be sticking to the normal routine. So Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays around the afternoon, maybe in the evening according to London time. So definitely tune in. And let's get right into the forecast. So here is the euro and the US dollar. Now for this particular pair, well, it's looking range bound as are all of the other pairs. So when we opened in the morning, we got a bit of a gap and then we broke down, retraced, broke down, retraced, broke down, retraced again. So this is just creating a descending structure from an ascending structure, which usually signals to us for range bound price action. So I'm being more patient, as you may have concluded. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a trend to start to the upside or to the downside. Really simple. I'm also looking for maybe an ascending or a descending structure to form. I know the overall price action is range bound, but I would be interested if we get a nice ascending or a nice descending on this particular pair. So let's see if that sort of price action will happen. So power price action, definitely range bound, definitely not seeing an opportunity. So let's just switch to the next one. For the euro and the Japanese yen, so on the Japanese pairs we have had a huge move down. We have had a real big drop, a large drop of 400 pips. So really some huge news came out. I believe it's about the Japanese central bank or something like that. It doesn't really matter. Again, we don't look at news, but it is definitely a news candle. When you see that big of a candle, then that means that the volatility also went up. So let's check the stop loss size. 12 pip stop, it's tiny. So for this pair, major warning signs, huge volatility, stuck between the low and the high. Actually did break the low, but it created a huge wick and retraced. So to be honest, for this pair, I will be waiting for the volatility to die down first, and then I will be waiting for a trend up or a trend down. But just the key point to wait here is to wait for the volatility to die down. If you're just taking trades when the volatility is this high, we will get stopped out very easily. Now we don't increase our stops, we actually wait for them to become larger or actually for the volatility to die down. That is why I'm being much more patient, especially with the Japanese pairs. I'm expecting sort of a range like this in this area, definitely expecting a larger range, and maybe do wait for a nice clean ascending or a nice clean descending. That's always a good opportunity to enter, but just be more patient if you see that the stop loss is still really small. Okay, that's about it for EJ. Now for the Aussie and the US dollar, it actually looked pretty good at one point. Now I did not have an order on because I didn't notice it at that time, but looking at it back, I think I would have had an order on. So there are a couple of reasons. The first one is you can see the larger range. Now this is some, I would say, more advanced concepts, but let me try to explain. So we have the larger range, and of course above and below the larger range we have a liquidity area above and below. Of course the traders are selling right here, selling, buying down here, maybe here also buying, and they keep their stops above the most recent highs and below the most recent lows. So the market makers usually notice the liquidity areas, notice the buildup of stops, and then they try to take them out. For example, right here, let's zoom in a bit. So the liquidity area has been taken out with an ascending structure. Right here definitely got taken out. So it ascended, taking out the liquidity, and then the market makers decided to push the price down. They decided to sell once they build up enough orders in this general area. That's why this is high probability to continue moving down. So we have gotten sort of a good trend, nothing to write home about, but it was moving okay. Then we got this move, and at this point we got an okay close, but the fuel from the prior taking out of the liquidity area right here and this ascending would have been enough for me to place in an order here on the most recent low. I have seen some setups like this play out. It is a chart pattern that usually plays out on the Aussie US dollar. So then what happened? Well, the price went further down and it started creating wicks. At this point I would have definitely removed the order because of the wicks and because it's Monday, where wicks usually play an even bigger part than on, let's say, Wednesday, Thursday or Friday. And yeah, so there was a potential setup that formed. If I had an order run, I wouldn't get tagged in because it didn't reach this level, but I have to say it was a good opportunity to place at least a pending order. So something to investigate and research in backtesting and naked charting. That sort of a setup where it's a setup where you have a larger range and then you have liquidity form above the range. You have the liquidity being taken out with an ascending structure and then the market makers move it down. So for the Aussie US dollar, I am seeing if this will maybe continue with the downtrend. If we maybe start moving down, give me a nice flag or a nice break and retest, I am looking to sell at this point. So this larger V reversal does not really concern me that much because of this ascending at the top and because of the thing about the liquidity I just mentioned. So I am waiting to see if this will maybe move down. For me, it would be high probability to sell at that point. Now it can also reverse back up, create a V reversal, then I'm looking for a range, push up and a flag, or it can also just range around in this general area like this. In that case, we will have to see how it will break out to the downside or to the upside. So let's see how the Aussie US dollar will develop. The best scenario is for this to break the low with momentum and for it to start moving down. Aussie Japanese yen looking very, very volatile and very, I would say, range bound. Definitely you can see it's just stuck in this general range. It even had this volatility right here with the news. So if you check the stop loss size, let's put a 12 pip stop. It's looking really small. Then it broke the low right here. Most recent low left a huge wick. Same story as the Euro Japanese yen. To be honest, I'm expecting a larger range in this general area. It is what it is, but news can usually start nice trends, but we need to wait for evidence that the trend has started. So if I see evidence, if the stop loss is looking okay, I am looking for a trade on a nice uptrend or downtrend. The pound, we had a large gap. Let's see how big the gap was. So right here, around 100 pips of a gap. That's a big gap. So at this point, I'm waiting for the price to develop a bit more. This is our most recent high. This is our most recent low. We're waiting for the break of this high or of this low. I am expecting a range in this area like this because of the gap and because the overall price, it's not looking that conducive. We have sort of a descending channel going now into an ascending channel and just ranging around. What I'm waiting for is a large push up then a break and retest trade, or a large push down and then a break and retest to the downside. Really simple stuff, and I don't think we will get that sort of a setup anytime soon, as far as I can tell from the current price action, maybe in the latter part of the week. NJ, New Zealand Japanese yen, same story. Japanese pairs pretty volatile. Now for this one, it's not that volatile as EJ or AJ, but we still need to be really careful. We are still stuck between the low and the high, still expecting a larger range in this area. And my forecast or my expectations are still the same as on all the Japanese pairs. I'm waiting for a large breakout to the upside, to the downside, and then a nice trend to clean this up. We need to clean up this price action. So that's it for the forecast and the trade recap. Remember the new forecast and trade recap schedule, and I will see you guys in the next video.